Hello, and welcome to twitch.tv/the Onyx Path, where tonight we are going to be embarking upon session 0 of Dystopia Rising Evolution. I'm very excited to tell a little story in this amazing setting of post-apocalyptic fungal zombie nightmare survival horror with a little scotch of community building and hope. Hope is good. We like hope around here. Before we dive into the game, I would like to first off make sure that you're all aware that we are in the final days, and I really do mean final, of the Realms of Pugmire Kickstarter. So if you've not yet had a chance to do so, please head over there, check that out. Consider backing it. I think pretty much the entire manuscript is up for preview at this point. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you get just even backing it at the $5 level. And if you like what you see, you can dive in and increase your pledge either before the campaign ends or in the backer kit down the road. I also want to call to your attention that we have a sale going on, 50% off on several of our products over Indie Press Revolution. Most of these are OGL books, so our Scarred Lands, Pugmire First Edition, Legend Lore, all that stuff is half off in traditional print over at IPR, but we also have a couple of Chronicles of Darkness books on there. So Changeling the Lost and its support materials, as well as Dark Airs 2, are included in that sale. And then I want to make sure you're also aware that this Friday is Onyx Path Game Night. Last Friday of every month, we run a game night in association with our buddies and partners over at Start Playing Games. This Friday, I will actually be running Dystopia Rising Evolution. I'll be running a one-shot, and I believe there's a couple seats available in that game. So if you are watching this and you're like, oh, I want to try out Dystopia Rising myself, you can do so. You can hop on and pick up a ticket to the game, and I will run you through a beautiful scenario. Or if you want to run something yourself, there's still time to sign up. You can do so. If you have picked up one of our games recently, but you've not had a chance to play it or run it yet, the game night is a perfect opportunity to do so. We have a channel dedicated to in our Discord to setting that up and to finding and coordinating players and all that stuff. So I will throw that in the chat as well. Sorry, my infamous inability to talk and type at the same time strikes again. But I think that is all of the ground that I needed to cover for promotions. So let's meet our cast. Let's start things off with Haley, because it's been a minute since you've been on the channel. So please tell us who you are, what you do, you don't know who you're playing yet. So who you are, what you do, your pronouns, and anything you would like to promote.
Oh, thank you. Well, my name's Haley, also known as babe_blade666 on the internet. I love doing cosplays and I love playing tabletop RPGs.
Well, and we love having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything you wanted to promote or get the word out about?
Just everything's in the works right now. Apparently, I'm doing a Barbie RPG soon with Girls Run These Worlds. I'm pretty excited for that.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone should run over and follow Girls Run These Worlds.
Can't Murder Lake, yeah, as well. They asked me to do that, so.
Awesome. Are you running Camp Murder Lake or are you playing Camp Murder Lake?
I'll just be a player this time.
That is so
really
fun.
Difficult, but fun, yeah.
Yeah, and that one is on, is that on the Onyx Path YouTube or is that on your YouTube, another YouTube channel where you ran before?
I did one for you guys, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So definitely head over to the Onyx Path YouTube and look up when Haley ran Camp Murder Lake. Lots of fun, good times.
Christmas special.
It was. There was much merriment and lots of blood and gore, which is what we love about Camp Murder Lake.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of blood and gore, Leko, please, your details.
And the segue. Okay, well, I'm Leco Rodriguez. I'm a personal trainer specialized in weight loss and body recomposition. So if you want a free consultation, you can go to teamleco.com. We can have a conversation about your goals, frustrations, or anything else you want to talk about. You can also follow me on Twitter at teamleco, TEAMLECO, where I answer questions, have spicy, somewhat tepid to spicy takes on the comings and goings of people. But I'm always happy to answer questions, DMs, or publicly. Um, and right now I'm just thinking about some juxtaposition of Camp Murder Lake and Barbie like happening at the same time, and it's like mind blowing right now. So I'm just gonna
That
be
one
there for a while.
TikTok that's like Barbie's got a gun with no safety on.
Yeah, that'll probably be me.
Listen, if
Just kidding.
if the director for the upcoming Barbie film can somehow do a successful mashup of Barbie and 2001: A Space Odyssey, I'm sure you can mash up. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for the Barbie film, but it's impressive. If you haven't, Google it. It's great.
And I will be doing my best to not. I apologize ahead of time to both the chat and the game because I'm really hungry and I need to eat. But I'm going to do my best to keep my mic muted just in case. So it's no ASMR. That's for OnlyFans.
All right.
Excellent. And I'm not gonna. I'm not. There's nothing. There's nothing
There's
there I
no
can
appropriate
segue.
segue.
So I'm just gonna hand it over to CJ.
Hi, everybody. I'm CJ Starry. You can catch me on my own channel and pretty much any other social media under CJ Starry. And aside from here on Onyx Path, you can also find me playing tabletop role-playing games on Ink and Lyre, Lyre, and also on TTRP_theater. So thank you for having me back. I'm so zombies are like, I love zombies. That's maybe the, but my character's not gonna love zombies. Yeah.
Well, you never know. Love could be in the air. You don't.
Well, there's some spores in the air, but I'm not sure it's love.
Well, we will investigate those thoughts and feelings and zombies as we delve into our tale. So, as I said, we're going to be playing Dystopia Rising Evolution, and tonight is our session 0. So, we spoke a little bit before the show, just to give the a very, very, very basic kind of guideline. This is going to be a bit of a road story, and a portion of it will be, one might say it will revolve a bit around the Postal Service, which is what it sounds like. It's a group of survivors who have dedicated themselves to making sure that the mail still runs, that communication is still viable. And so that's going to be kind of a central theme. There's going to be some travel, and we're going to start out in a settlement known as the Pit. So I guess let's kick things off with our character creation. Give me a half a second to bring up the actual proper section, and there's a lovely quick reference chart. I just need to find it. And whilst I am digging that up, generally speaking, we start with aspirations in the story path system, which, of course, is the engine that Dystopia Rising Evolution runs on. So, do you have like a core concept in mind? And since you were the most recent one that I picked on for introductions, I'll start with you, CJ. Do you have kind of a basic concept in mind for your character?
Yeah, I really love, specifically, I was kind of looking around trying to decide what I wanted to do, and I really love the concept of sawbones. So I'm thinking of sort of like a rough around the edges, protective medic is the vibe that I'm kind of going for if it fits.
That sounds beautiful. And sounds like the kind of thing that'll be handy to a group of survivors trying to cross zombie-infested wastelands.
I hope so.
To that end, do you have any aspirations in mind?
Yeah, I completely brushed over that, didn't I?
Yes, there will be. You will need 2 short-term aspirations and a long-term aspiration. If you do not have those in
I was
mind
like,
yet,
my aspiration is to be a medic. I do want to protect. I do want to succeed in protecting someone.
Okay.
I've got to think of some other ones, but I think that's
if you want the easy cop out, and you're planning on playing a medic, just treat someone's injury could be another good short-term aspiration. So protect someone, treat an injury. Those are good fallbacks. I'll let you sit with that for a moment while I
think about that.
Bounce my way over to Lecco. Lecco, do you have a concept in mind for your character?
I do. So since you mentioned something about the post office, and we did have a very brief conversation about Death Stranding, I feel like I want to play a courier, a package handler, if you will, a brown fit. Delivers anything, anyone, anytime, any place, on a budget, on a schedule, on the run,
I love
on a
it.
boat. Yeah.
I love it. Do you have any aspirations that you would like to tie to that concept, short or long term?
One would have to be, well, it's kind of hard to handle packages if you don't get a job. So it's going to be get a contract
Okay.
to deliver a thing.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what. Like I said, anything, anyone, anytime, any place. So secure a contract clearly, and beyond that, I think I think getting something resembling a hot meal would be nice.
A wonderful short-term aspiration.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be healthy; it just has to be warm and edible.
That's fair. That's fair. Any thoughts on long-term, or do you want to circle back around to that?
I think this character has a long-term aspiration of starting a franchise.
Excellent. So sort of building a hub, right?
A network of other fellows who will also deliver anything, anyone on a budget.
I approve of this long-term aspiration.
Results guaranteed, or, well, you're not going to get your money back, but whatever.
I approve of the aspiration, and I think it will dovetail in nicely with what I have in mind. So then that takes us over to Haley. What do you got? Any thoughts in terms of concept for your character?
Well, I just skimmed this book about 10 minutes ago.
Beautiful.
And this is what I have so far. I'd like to be a retrograde mutant.
Okay, so someone who's kind of falling to pieces a little bit.
Yeah. That appeals to me for some reason.
Excellent. I dig it. I dig it. And what would you like to sort of your, I guess, what would you like to be doing for either for a living or just like as your sort of contribution to the party or your sort of goals? Do you have any like a short term or long term aspiration in mind?
So what I'm thinking is this character used to be like a social butterfly, but like people are kind of like afraid of her, and she's kind of like scared to show her face. So, but she misses community and she misses like communication. So that's why she's joined the mail service.
Excellent. Okay, so maybe
she went a friend with someone else in the party that kind of brought her out of her shell to do this.
Okay, so maybe something in terms of short-term aspirations, maybe build a bond with a story guide character, might be one. That could be cool. Any other sort of goals or aspirations in mind, or do you want to circle back to it?
I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's kind of lame, but maybe she's looking for family and community again.
That's totally fine. Become a part of a community, and that can be something that you can focus on as short term or long term. It's up to you where you want to emphasize that. Really, the difference is how hard do you want to make it on yourself.
I think it would be a long-term thing.
Okay, excellent. So go ahead and record that as your long-term aspiration, and we'll swipe back around, and as these things sort of come together, fill out any additional aspirations we need to. So
I think I have mine now.
Okay.
I want to protect someone. That's one. I
Sure.
want to take care of someone. That's two. And then my long term. Let me know if this is good for long because I feel like it's a bigger thing, but it's not huge. Is that and I've left it purposely vague. I can be more specific if we need to, but I
Sure.
want to make the right call.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's perfect. I think there's enough context there to imply that it's going to be a difficult decision to make.
Right.
And there is clearly a wrong one too.
Yes.
Or very clearly not a wrong one. That would also be if there's several calls that are right from certain points of view, that could also be workable. So I like it. I'm a fan of it. That sounds good. Any other thoughts on aspirations before we move forward to the next step for the moment? Or everybody good to pull this truck forward? Excellent. So next up, we select our paths. So you have a strain, a role, and a society path. Each path is significant to your character and reflects a major commitment of your time. The strain paths begin on page 64 of the Dystopia Rising Evolution book. Yes? No, I lied. That's where your role paths start. Strain paths start on page 22. And the strains refer to the strains of humanity. The setting of Dystopia Rising Evolution takes place several generations after the sort of fall of humanity, after an apocalypse. And the world has become overrun with not only radiation and irradiated monstrosities as a result thereof, but also this fungal infection that is sort of powered by a malevolent sentience known as the grave mind. To survive in this world, different strains of humanity have evolved, and there are 8 major strains, each of which has kind of sub strains beneath it. I know, Haley, you had said that you were interested in being a retrograde, a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
And just real quick, kind of for the viewers at home to break down what the mutants are, is mutants have some sort of strong physical mutation that define them. They tend to hide them so that they can fit in with the other strains, but their mutations tend to grant them specific abilities to deal with storms, diseases, radiation, environmental conditions that other strains might not be able to weather quite so well. And as a mutant strain, that gives you access to the skills of culture, empathy, persuasion, and subterfuge. So you might want to maybe on those little lines next to your skills on your character sheet, just mark down like a ST on those, so you know those are from your strains. And we'll get into spending points in a moment on those. And you also begin with the Master of Disguises edge, which is detailed on page 74. For purposes of tracking on your sheet, you just write it down, Master of Disguises under your edges, and that is a 2-dot edge. You in Dystopia Rising, your various edges from your paths are just you just get straight up get access to certain edges at a certain value, and then you can buy the extra additional edges with your free points. In looking at the strains, was there one that had spoken to you, Lego?
There are a couple that I think serve my purpose. I mean, Rover is kind of a natural fit, I think, because well, they have strong leg muscles and they can walk for a very long time and carry stuff.
Sure.
Um,
Sure. That fits.
I mean, right? They have endurance. That's you can't always rely on a vehicle. Okay. Um, sometimes there's underbrush. Sometimes there's traps. Sometimes there's vines that will eat your face. But your feet and your shoes are your feet and your shoes. So I'm thinking Rover. Otherwise, I was thinking something like what was it? Quiet folk.
Yes, which are among
Because
the landsmen. Yep.
yeah, so the quiet folk are one of the landsmen in the Americans. Um, and I so they're like kind of super quiet, um, but they're also kind of hyper, I guess, hyper vigilant. And
Right.
I feel like that would be, sure-footed. Um, they're polite and quiet and generally not in anybody's way. So something there's like a creepy version of this and there's like a super fun version of this. And there's also like an undead version I was considering where he's like, a zombie, but because I imagine they can carry stuff too. So I'm not sure yet. It's going to be something like that. Though I think Rover or Quiet Folk or I don't have any other ideas. So that's pretty much where I am right now.
Well, while you're flopping back and forth between those two, let me bounce back over to Haley for just a moment because I did miss. In addition to the mutant, you'd said you'd specifically settled on retrogrades, correct?
Yeah.
That gives you the half-life edge, which is detailed on page 74, and that is also a 2-point edge.
Okay.
But it also, importantly, and this is maybe something that each of you should consider as you're designing your character. It gives you the strain condition. It's Z, which is on page 44, and what that each strain has a persistent condition, affliction is probably a strong word, but a tendency or a element that is inherent to the strain that creates some challenge and allows you to earn additional momentum through a momentum trigger. So in the case of It's Zed, unless you're speaking to another retrograde, a worshiper of the Church of Darwin, or a character that has a positive bond, you suffer a +1 complication of I look like a zombie to all roles in the social arena, as the target is uncomfortable around the character because of their resemblance to a zombie unless the complication is bought off. And you gain momentum anytime your character's appearance causes a problem. Now you can
Hard to make friends.
exactly. Now you can sort of offset that a bit with the Master of Disguise's edge, but that is a thing to be aware of. So while Lacko is bouncing back and forth between strain choices, CJ, have you had a chance to look at the strains, and is there any that speaks to you specifically?
I had quite a few, and the more this character becomes conceptualized, the more I'm somewhere in between primarily Rover and Baywalker, although I also would be probably Natural One would work as well. But I think I'm more inclined toward Rover. I'm sort of having this idea perhaps that my character joined up with this kind of postal situation after their roving band, their roving community was killed.
Okay.
So I think they might be like the sole survivor of their previous community and looking for another place to be. So they were like, hey, I'm a doctor, you're going to need it on the road, sort of thing.
I kind of love that. So if you want to go with Rovers, that's beautiful.
I think that's what I'll do.
That will make your general strain nomads, then specifically Rovers. Your skills are athletics, pilot, science, and technology.
Okay.
You gain the Wasteland Connections edge, which is detailed on page 75. It's a 2-dot edge. Gives you 2 enhancement on all actions involving caravans, from navigating a trip to haggling for a spot on a caravan. And you will also, as a rover, you gain the Endurance edge, which is detailed on page 77. That is a 1-dot edge. lets you ignore up to 2 complication or conditions that arise from exhaustion, starvation, thirst, or illness. So that is handy.
Yes.
And
Makes a good moving medic for sure.
absolutely. And then you also get the fast draw edge, which is detailed on page 78. And that gives you training with a particular type of hand weapon or firearm so that you can draw from its holster as a reflexive action. It does require you to take a dot in firearms or close combat to represent that expertise. So just make sure you have that kind of marked, for somewhere along the line, spending points in there.
Sounds good.
The rover's strain condition is don't cross me.
Cross me. Yeah.
Yes.
That looks good.
You're so furious that you have +1 difficulty on any rolls in the mental area. In any situation where you are insulted socially, you gain momentum, which can be resolved if the source of an insult or apologizes or leaves. Makes sense.
Sounds good. I think that'll be right for the type of character I was conceptualizing.
Beautiful. And so, Lecco, did you settle on your sort of internal argument between Quiet Folk and Rover? Sure.
So as not to double up, I think I can veer right, and I'll just make an evolved.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
Because I feel like Iron's nicknames are strongbacks.
That is true.
And they seem to be optimistic. They understand labor, back-breaking labor, and
Right.
they can lift and carry heavy loads. Something like that. Yeah, I think the irons are kind of where, but he's like, he's an evolved iron. He's like, above and beyond the mines and the mire, people need stuff.
I
And
love
things
it.
and people. So,
I absolutely love it.
and as freedmen, right? Like they kind of value like agency, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're gonna go with an iron.
I love it. Your skills are athletics, close combat, command, and technology. You get the built to last edge, which is a 2-dot edge detailed on page 74. So this grants you an extra bruised injury condition. That's handy.
Fun. Yeah.
And as an iron, you also gain the mind resistance edge, which is a 2-dot edge, or you gain it at 2-dot, or I'm sorry, you gain it at 1-dot. Whenever you gain an edge from one of your paths, like automatically, you just gain the minimum dots in it. But you can raise it later with points. And for every dot in that edge, you gain an enhancement to all actions to resist the effects of fear, torture, interrogation, psionic effects, or mind-altering drugs.
Well, that's fun.
So it's kind of the I'm stubborn edge.
Yeah. So just so I'm clear, it says edge mind resistance 2 under the
Oh, does it list specifically a mind resistance to 2? Then that's what you get. Yep.
Cool. And then I get the Captain Obvious string condition.
Yes, which means that you constantly glow in dim light or complete darkness. You have a hard time hiding, granting you a +1 difficulty on any attempts at stealth in darkness or disguise.
You know what? They'll always see me coming.
They will always see you coming, and you get and your momentum trigger is any time that causes you a problem. So you're in pretty good shape there. Excellent. Now that we've got our strains taken care of, your next step is to select your roll paths.
Is there a good place to put conditions on the character sheet?
Usually what I will do is I will put just right on the strain line up top. I will
Okay.
put the name of the main strain, the name of the of the sort of subcategory of strain, and then the strain condition and its page number. And then
That makes
on the
sense.
actual
Yeah.
strain path, I would just write the sub strain, right?
Yep.
Because
Okay,
that's the
cool.
one
Thank
that's really
you.
going to matter. Yeah. You'll note, unlike in other story path games, your roll path is just a path. You don't have dots in that. You just are that roll. So let's see here.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with my choice. This will be good.
Beautiful. I love it. I'm glad to hear it. So our roll paths start on page 64. There are several options. I know, CJ, you had mentioned the sawbones.
Yeah, I'd love to. I feel like that fits pretty well with this medic concept. So I think that's what I'd love to do.
Absolutely. So you can note your skills as empathy, medicine, science, and survival. And you also get a dot of mentor and the skilled healer edge. And so mentor is detailed on page 79. Mentors can teach you edges that you might not otherwise be able to access. They can also act as a path contact that you don't have to roll to use. So
Awesome.
that comes in quite handy as well. The skilled healer edge is on page 77. It does require a medicine of 1, so you want to make sure you at least take 1 dot in that. And you, whenever you attempt a first aid action, you gain 2 enhancement. You have to be in a calm, quiet place to be able to gain that enhancement. If you're in the middle of a violent confrontation or distracted by a loud argument, you can instead ignore complications and difficulty shifts that arise from that when you're performing first aid.
Awesome.
Make sense?
That feels right. Thank you.
Beautiful, no problem. And I'm just checking to see if there's anything else from that. Nope, just that you'll want to list the gear that is detailed there on page 65. Just copy that over into your gear. Basically, the way gear works in Dystopia Rising is just standard gear will give you an enhancement equal to the tier of the gear when you're using it. Otherwise, unless otherwise noted in the gear's description. Make sense? So in terms, oh, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No, no, I was just like that sounds good. And it looks like I'm gonna have to be weighting my skills with the understanding that I've got a +1 difficulty to all mental because I'm just really angry.
Just constantly pissed off, yeah.
I'm just really angry. That does do the rough around the edges bit though, so it does fit.
I love it. Yes.
So so it says I get command, but command isn't on the character sheet. Is it persuasion in
It
this?
should be persuasion, yes.
Okay.
I believe that is a typographical error, sir.
That's fine. Okay.
And so in terms of role, did you have one that spoke to you, Haley?
I'm gonna be a publican.
Excellent. I love it.
Loser. Hell yeah.
That nobody
Well-
wants to talk to. We'll do it.
Well, could be that you're a bit of a barfly. Could also be that you've sort of worked yourself out a living as like a bouncer or a barback or something like that. But in any case, that gives you the skills of academics, culture, empathy, and subterfuge. And as you're putting down your role skills, you might just want to put like a R or RO on those skill lines so you know how your points are going to spend up. As far as your edges go, that gives you a dot in the entertainer edge
Nice.
and the time sense edge. The entertainer edge is an edge that is rated from 1 to 3, so you can kind of pump that up.
Okay.
You can gain enhancement equal to the dots in that edge on attempts to change the atmosphere of an area using entertainment. So that might be singing a song, that might be just talking to people, it might be, a dramatic performance, whatever your chosen sort of form is. You get a enhancement equal to your dots in the edge. However, there is a drawback that comes along with this, which is that people may ask you to perform at a moment's notice, and if you don't deliver, you kind of tick everybody off. If you refuse to perform, you suffer a complication of prima donna when dealing with anyone who might have been interested in seeing you for the rest of the day. Failure to buy off the complication means that whoever you're dealing with will make snide or disrespectful comments to you during the conversation. The more dots you have in the edge, the more people are likely to be affected by that. Like, the more people are likely to be disappointed they didn't get to see you, therefore pissed off at you if you didn't do the thing. Make sense?
Okay. I can work with that.
Excellent.
It's all coming together.
And and your gear is a heavy jacket, which is armor. That will count as a reinforced jacket in the armor traits when we get to that point. And you have 3 UPP, so that UPP is kind of the currency. So you have kind of that much on hand. Mostly UPP is a shorthand way of dealing with the fact that it's largely a barter system in the world of Dystopia Rising. The closest thing to cash people carry are keys, are literal metal keys that they trade as sort of a currency. So if worse comes to worse, you can have keys. Otherwise, you could buy trade goods that you're carrying with you, or you can just hang on to it in terms of like tradable goods that you can cash in at any point. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then also the time sense edge. That is a 1-dot edge. And that means you automatically succeed on any attempts to track time, determine what time it is, even if you can't see natural indicators of the passage of time. So even if you're like chained up in a basement somewhere, you know what time it is.
Right on.
Yeah. Unable to see the sun and whatnot.
Okay.
Okay, so that leaves Lecco. What did you decide on for your role?
Oh, I think caravan driver is kind of a natural fit.
I would say that's probably fair, yeah.
Sounds pretty much in line. Even though, I was leaning on walking everywhere, we can do both.
Sure. Doesn't necessarily mean that
I know how to drive. I don't have to drive, but I do have a wagon.
you
I'll
do
probably
have.
take 1 dot and pilot because that's within mine as well. So you've got a backup driver if something goes to hell.
There you go. That's extra handy. So with caravan driver, your skills will be culture, firearms, leadership, and pilot. Your gear is a shiv and a trade wagon. And your edges are mentor, which we've covered previously, and direction sense. Which can be found on page 75. It's a 1-point edge. And you gain 1 enhancement to any action related to navigating or plotting a course. You never face penalties to navigate or find your way, and you always know which direction you're facing.
Cool. That's all.
Yeah, that will come in handy. And then the remaining sort of path option that you have is choosing your society path. There are a number of societies that are active beginning on page 66. The Postal Service is one of the societies. And while you may all just throw in with Postal Service and call it a day, that's an option that you have. You don't necessarily have to start the game as part of that society if you don't want to. You can certainly dive into any of the other ones. Did any of you have any thoughts or ideas from looking through these of one that specifically leaps out at you?
I haven't looked yet, but give me just a second.
Sure.
I kind of had a look and nothing really jumped out, so I may just throw my lot in. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like,
It's totally fine. There's also, you can also always fall back on settlement, which just means that you've kind of you are a native of a place and you had established your life in that place. Now that place may be now gone, or you may be gone from it. But this is about where you've been. You can always switch it in, you can always add on another one later. You can change paths later. There are, let's see. Just a couple of other options to consider, particularly for a healer. Mercy's Chosen.
I did also see Crimson Cross, but I'm reading through Mercy's Chosen right now, and I think that's probably a good one for me. And plus, I was coming from something else at the outset of this, so probably going straight to post wouldn't make the best idea.
Sure. Either, like I said, either way works. And yeah, definitely Crimson Cross caravans would be a good option as well. Are there any that leap out at you, Haley?
I was thinking like maybe she was part of some kind of community, but they've died off or been,
Okay.
murdered of some sort, and she decided to put herself out there and go to the postal service. I don't know.
Sure. So you could either go with like settlement as your path, as a reflection of the past, or you can go straight into postal service as your path. It's up to you.
Are people born as a mutant, or they just become one?
You're born as your strain.
Oh, okay.
So in some cases, the manifestations of your strain can become more significant as you age, right? Mm-hmm. So you might start out looking relatively quote unquote normal. And then as you age, growing more grotesque or more, whatever your strain traits are, more prominent. But you definitely, you start out as your strain.
All right. Yeah. So maybe she was born kind of normal and then became ugly and uglier. And then she just didn't want to be a part of her community anymore, and she's kind of up and left her identity, I guess.
Sure,
maybe
that works.
Maybe because she was a performer, maybe if she had a lot of notoriety when she was younger, maybe she gets a lot of comments and things about her unfortunate new appearance and blah blah blah, and she got so sick of that, and that would upset anybody.
Yeah,
right.
I was thinking about that.
Right, she's a great dancer. It's a shame about her face melting off.
Yeah.
Dance 10 looks 3. I mean, there's a whole song from what musical is it? Dance 10 looks 3. I mean,
yeah, there you go.
I like it.
So then, would you say then probably leaning into settlement?
Yeah, okay. Settlement and postal, I guess. Do we put both, or
no? It's either. You would select either one of those as being your actual path, because that will determine your skill choices. So which one do you think you want to lean on more? Postal service is if you're looking strictly mechanically, postal service offers athletics, culture, lore, and pilot as your skills, whereas settlement is culture, empathy, leadership, and science.
I'll do postal service.
Excellent. Okay. And that also grants you access to the photographic memory edge. Which you would get at 1 dot. That's detailed on page 76. And with 1 dot of photographic memory, you can memorize a conversation you overheard, but not one you took part in. And can generally only concentrate on one subject at a time. You have to sort of concentrate to memorize things. But you get 2 enhancement against attempts to alter anything that you deliberately had committed to memory. So if you focus on something and say someone tried to either, change your perceptions of it through conversation or even like try to use like psionics to change your mind, you get 2 enhancement to resist that. Make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And then the other one you get is Swift.
Swift. Okay.
And Swift is a 1-dot edge that is detailed on page 78. And that means whenever you're involved in any sort of foot race or attempting to run to a location before an event occurs, you gain +1 scale to your speed. So
Okay.
you are quite quick.
Nice.
And so, Lecco, had you settled on what you're going to do for your?
Yeah, I think I'm picking an unlikely target here. Considering the origin, I'm gonna go with the trade union.
Okay.
Because he understands that commerce and capitalism will make the world go round. Um, so yeah, investment is sometimes necessary. Plus, it gets him a safe house.
Excellent. I love it. Yep. That gives you skill choices of academics, persuasion, pilot, and technology, all of which will come in handy. And you get, not only do you get safe house at 1-dot, which is what it kind of sounds like. It is a safe place for you to crash, but it also lets you store gear, food, water, things along those lines. Each dot in safe house acts as a complication of alert to anyone attempting to infiltrate or break into the space. Failure to buy off the complications means that they alert you to their presence.
It's really cool.
And it also gives you enough space to sleep too, food for a day, and multiple ammo and weapons caches, which is handy to have. And then the other edge that grants you is convincing orator.
They like me.
They really do. That's a 2-dot edge. It's detailed over on page 78. It does require persuasion of 2, so make sure that you
Which I have.
that you handle that. The character knows how to get people to listen to them, sway the minds and hearts of the masses. Whenever you're addressing a group of people larger than 3, you gain 2 enhancement to your influence actions. So the bigger the group, the easier it is. And then CJ, had you settled on your society path?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do Crimson Cross.
Excellent.
I would say that it probably was a small caravan of the Crimson Cross that ended up not making it. Then probably slightly brokenhearted and disillusioned. My character is looking for another path in life.
That works for me. That gives you the skills of academics, empathy, medicine, and science. And your edges are balanced step, which comes in handy.
Perfect. Yes.
That will be on page 77 of the book. And basically means your character is undaunted by hard to navigate terrain or pitfalls, traps, anything along those lines. You can ignore up to 2 complication or up to a +2 difficulty increase from unstable footing. The other benefit of being in the Crimson Cross caravans is you get the big-hearted edge, which is detailed on page
Character's gonna
78.
be a disaster.
It lets you maintain 1 additional bond, provided it is positive and personal in nature, such as a long-held friendship, beloved sibling, passionate lover, etc. Where this comes in extra handy in Dystopia Rising Evolution is death is not necessarily the end for your character, provided that you are taken to the morgue, which is usually an area of a settlement that's been sort of treated. If you die outside of a settlement, you also will effectively respawn, though your less likely to come out of it in a predictable place and in a predictable state than if you go to a morgue. But as you return from the dead, it tends to erode your bonds. It tends to make you forget, not necessarily the events of a relationship with a person, but your actual connection to the emotions of that relationship. It starts to just become sort of factoids that you know as opposed to experiences that you've had. But Big Hearted helps you sort of persevere through that. So in case you get
In case I die.
in case you get killed off once or thrice, that
Okay, we've got to get some relationships going, guys.
that is handy to have. So now that you have your paths settled on, you will get 3 points in skills to spend on each of the skill sets of those paths. So if you've marked them accordingly, you should know kind of what to spend where. If a skill comes from multiple paths, you can spend points for multiple paths on it. And if there's a skill you want that you don't have on your paths yet, don't worry, you will get a couple of skill points to toss around. So Lecco, have you spent your skills up?
I get 3 to spend on stuff I already have.
So three from each group of path skills, right?
Right. That okay. So what I had done was I had just put 1 in each, but I don't have to do that, right?
No, in fact, you don't have enough points to do that because there's
right,
4
right.
skills per path.
Right. Okay. So yes, so I have to remove 3.
Right.
So yes.
Excellent. CJ, have you figured out where you'd like to spend those points? They go fast, I know.
I'm almost there. So at the moment, I have dumped 4 into medicine because it feels important and
Sure.
relevant. 1 in pilot from my rover, just as a backup pilot sort of situation. 1 in survival. I'm probably gonna buff that. 1 each in close combat, close combat, firearms, integrity, and empathy, and 2 in athletics. And I think I need 3 more total. I think I'm at 12, so I just need to figure out where to put those other 3, basically.
Right. Because you'll have 9 that you're spending among your path skills. Once that's
Those are
completed,
spent, yes.
right. Once that's completed, you have 6 points you can spend wherever you want. So when it's all said and done, you should have 15 points in skills.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So I did mine, and then I have to go back and spend how many?
6.
Okay. And I can spend those anywhere.
Anywhere you want.
All right.
Do keep in mind as well, you will all get to choose a skill trick, but you'll need to have 3 dots in the skill for the skill trick to be able to function. All this making sense, Haley? Have you spent your path skills, or are you still working on those?
I've just finished.
Excellent. What did you end up going with for skill choices?
I went 3 in athletics, 3 in culture, 3 in empathy, 3 in subterfuge, 2 in persuasion, and 1 in lore.
Beautiful. Sounds like a good skill spread. All right. So the next thing that you will get to choose are your skill tricks and any specialties you would have. So you get a single skill trick. Those begin on page 68. And you'll note each skill has 3 tricks listed beneath it. Skill tricks are activated by spending a momentum. And they're just sort of little extra flares that you can do. They certainly do come in handy. You also if you have 4 or 5 dots in a skill, you may take a specialty. Those are detailed on page 86, but the short version is it's a narrowly focused expertise within a skill. If you have a specialty, you can apply that expertise as enhancement to other skills, right? So, for example, you might apply, if you have a revolver specialty from firearms, you might apply it to an action using a technology skill to repair your revolver. If you have 4 dots, it's a +1 enhancement. If you have 5 dots, it's +2 enhancement.
So if we have 3 dots, we get a skill trick.
You get 1 skill trick. It has to be in a skill that has 3 dots or more in order to be able to use it.
Okay. Got it.
Makes sense?
So for my skill trick, just opinions, guys. There's 2 really good skill tricks for medicine. One's first aid. You're trained. You can treat basic wounds in the middle of a fight by spending a momentum. You can reduce the time it takes to perform it to a single first aid to a single round. But there's also another good one that's the character has a knack for diagnosis. Once per scene, they can take a simple action to examine a character, diagnose any disease or illness, and reduce the difficulty of treating it by 1. What do you guys think?
I'm probably a fan of first aid in general.
Of which one?
I think I like first aid, but it's your call.
I feel like they're both really good, but I don't know how much we're going to be getting into combat either. So probably, I mean, there's a lot of dead people.
There are a lot of dead people, and there's other various...
Combat's not the only way you get hurt.
Right. Right. There are also various other threats in the wastes. Aside from Zed, just to give you a brief idea of some of the things you might run into, there are raiders, which I believe Lecco has beautiful memories of from the last time he played Dystopia Rising. These are people who have they've got what the other strains refer to as bad brain. They're just not right in the head, and they can't be reasoned with. They can't be spoken to. They can't be talked to. There's various different flavors of them, and they can attack at any given moment. There are various mutated and irradiated pieces of wildlife that might strike you at any given moment. There's radiation storms and other types of horrid weather that can strike. So it's not. There are so many things beyond just simple zombies to worry about as you're traveling across the wastes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take that, because even if it is reducing the time to 1 round, which will be most important in combat, doing something fast is probably a good idea. I think that's the skill trick I'm taking.
Is handy. How about you, Lecco? Have you settled on a skill trick?
So I'm on the fence between I don't know how much we're gonna be like traveling versus how much we're gonna be like coping. So it's either like Wayfinder or Road Rage. Like I'm not sure which one. They're both very different. They're very different.
I will say this: there will be a lot of travel. I will also say that this travel will likely involve a lot of coping.
So I think, all right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take you know what? I won't take I'm gonna take Road Rage because it's interesting. As much as I kind of want to take Born to Ride to cover everything. So I'm gonna take Road Rage, I think.
Excellent. Please, for the viewers at home, what does Road Rage do?
Sure. The character has an amazing knack for running vehicles off the road. When ramming another vehicle, spend 1 momentum to automatically hit the other vehicle in such a way that it is disabled, but no one in either vehicle is hurt. For 1 additional momentum, the driver and passengers of the other vehicle are either battered or knocked unconscious. Story guide's choice. In either case, they do not suffer any lasting injury.
Oh, beautiful. So you can use your car as like a subdual weapon.
Yeah. That's what we'll go with. I think it's a stun car.
Nice.
It's my stun car.
I'm cool with that. How about you, Haley? Any thoughts on your skill trick?
I chose defensive maneuvering.
Excellent. And what does that do for the audience at home?
Basically makes it easier to just dance around the enemy and just get away quicker.
Nice.
spending 1 momentum, your character can apply her athletics to her defensive action for this round.
That is handy. that
We should
is.
have what, 15 skill points, right?
Yep, you should have a total of 15 dots in your skills.
Because I'm thinking for entertainer wise, she might be some sort of dancer, so
Oh, I dig it. Cool.
leave it that way.
And you went what, athletics 4, right? You said
3.
3? Okay. Did anyone have any skills at 4?
I have piloted.
Hello, Raiders. Thank
Yay,
you
hi,
so
guys.
much.
Actually,
Oh, I
I'll
thought
take
you
one
meant those
from
women, like,
Lore and
like
put it in
Raiders.
athletics.
Game Raider, you freaked me out already. It's like, why?
Hey,
Oh,
Raiders. Oh, where?
Yeah, not those Raiders, the good kind. Thank you all so much. Pull up a chair. We're doing a session 0 for Dystopia Rising Evolution. If you are not familiar with Dystopia Rising Evolution, it is a lovely post-apocalyptic survival horror / community building game using the Story Path system. It's currently available in POD and PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG, as well as your friendly local game store. And I'm going to throw a link in the chat to the Drive-Thru RPG page where you can pick up Dystopia Rising Evolution should you desire to do so. Someone had a question.
Oh, no, it was just
Oh.
me saying I also have a 4.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have a question. Are Ravnos in the Camarilla? Like, I don't know.
Everybody is kind of in 5th edition. We don't talk about V5 here.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Forget I said anything. Last I heard, Ravnos got hit with a nuke and then the world ended. So
Right, yeah.
something.
It's all good. I kid mostly. So if you have 4 in a skill, you may choose a specialty in that skill. That's specialties in Story Path are cross beneficial. So they don't necessarily apply to a role using that skill, but if you can apply the specialty to another skill role, that creates an enhancement. Make sense? And if you fail a role that involves your specialty, you gain an extra momentum for that because you're supposed to be really good at it. So you get an extra consolation for failing. Is everyone got their specialties selected?
I mean, you just have to kind of make one up, right? Or are there like a list?
Yeah, you can. You basically you choose something that would fall within the purview of the skill that you have the specialty in.
Okay.
If you want to run them by me, I'm happy to tell you.
So it doesn't have, but I'm saying it doesn't have to be like a literal translation, or like it can be kind of abstract. Like it
Sure.
Does it have to be, so I have pilot at 4, right? So it doesn't have to be like in the act of piloting. It can be the task of piloting, kind of.
Sure,
piloting.
it could be something as simple as like vehicle maintenance. It could be something as simple as a specific type of maneuver. It could be navigation. It could be.
Yeah, I was thinking about something like navigation or.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Like yeah.
I'll put sprinting under athletics.
Excellent. That I'm certain will come in handy. And CJ, you had a 4 in something or no?
Yeah, I have a 4 in medicine. I think leaning into what really appealed to me about, because I think I liked first aid better for this character as an actual skill, but leaning to what appealed to me on the other, I think my specialty I would like to be diagnosis.
Okay. Beautiful.
Good at figuring out what the heck is wrong with somebody.
That I'm certain will come in handy at various points. So
Concerning.
no spoilers. So on that bright shiny, that brings us up to our attributes. So you'll notice on your character sheet you have 3 groups that go vertical. They're basically cordoned off into social, mental, and physical traits. You will choose which of those is primary to you, and you will spend 6 dots in that. Choose which is secondary and spend 4 dots, and choose the least important and spend 2 dots. The first dot that is filled in on your sheet already is free and doesn't count against those dots.
Just to be clear, so for specialties, is it any skill we have at 4 we get a specialty?
Every skill you have at 4 or
okay.
5, you get a specialty.
All right.
Any questions on the attributes and what they do and how they work?
So 6 and then 4.
And then 2.
Oh, okay.
Once those are spent, you will pick your favorite approach. You'll notice that horizontally there are the force, finesse, resilience lines. You choose which of those you would like to select as your favorite approach, and you may add 1 dot to each of the attributes within that approach. If that causes your attribute to go above 5, you move that point in anywhere else in that arena, because you can't have an attribute that goes above 5. The arenas are the vertical. Approaches are horizontal. Make sense?
Is 642?
Yes.
642.
And the 6-1 doesn't have to be your favorite approach, right? Like you pick 6, 4, and 2, and then you pick a favored approach,
Right, because the 642 are the vertical and the approaches are horizontal.
Gotcha. Yep, we're good.
The horizontal one, you do 1 point each.
Yep, 1 point in each of them. And then if that would take it above 5, then you move that particular dot to one of the other 2 in that arena. Make sense? And just a reminder for those of you who may be encountering StoryPath for the first time, or it's been a while, StoryPath is a skill-forward system. So when you make a roll, when I ask you to make a roll, I will tell you a skill, or you may suggest a skill that would apply, and then you will choose the attribute that you're trying to pair with that skill. And as long as it makes sense, there's your die pool. Make sense?
Got it.
Once everyone has their attributes spent, we'll move forward onto your remaining edges. Lecco, do you have your attributes spent out?
Yeah.
What did you settle on?
So I went primary physical, so I have 3 might, 2 dexterity, and well, I also added my approaches too. So before my approaches, it was might 3, dex 2, stamina 4, presence 2. So the second one was the social, so presence 2, manipulation 1, composure 4, and then my mental line was intellect 2, resolve 2.
Okay.
Cunning. And then I picked resilience as my favorite approach. So my final stats there are resolve 3, stamina 5, composure 5.
Beautiful. CJ, still working on yours? You got them sorted.
I might switch my favored, but other than that, I have it sorted. Let me just pop that down. So, yeah, yep, okay. Especially considering I have a +1 difficulty to all mental. For my, I did the. Just checking to make sure I did it right. Yes, I did. Okay, I did the most. I did my 6 dots in mental. Because I am a doctor, I'm gonna have to figure out how to concentrate around how angry I am all of the time. And then I did my 4 in physical, and I did my 2 in what's the other? What is the presence manipulation?
Social.
Composure? Social. I did my 2 in social.
Excellent.
And then I was kind of between force and resilience, because at first I was like, it feels natural that this person is resilient, but they are still pretty resilient without the extra bump. So I put the bump in force. So they've got intellect, might, presence that way. And so their scores are 5 intellect, 1 cunning, 4 resolve, 3 might, 2 dexterity, 3 stamina, 3 presence, 1 manipulation, 2 composure.
Beautiful. That sounds perfect. And Haley, what did you settle on for your attributes?
I put the most points in social. presence being my most points, 5 points. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went with physical, with stamina being the most there with 4 points, and then mental is my least points, but resolve being the most in there with 4 points. My favorite approach was resilience.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Dig it. All right. So the last finishing touches, you have 4 dots that you can spend among edges that may come from outside of your path, or you can shore up path edges if you want to. You can spend up to 3 dots on faithful or psi edges if you so choose. There are certain powers that can be gained by a strong faith in this world. There are also psionics that are available. The upshot of psionic ability is that it's versatile, and that if you have any dots in the psionicist edge, you get a certain number of basic abilities that all psionicists can use. The downside is that psionics attract Zed. So you start using psi powers, it's like using a beacon to call out to zombies. So, and edges are covered in detail, starting. Let's see, where are we at? On page 73. The strain edges are strain only, so those are all pretty much covered, I believe, already. I don't think there's anything that's buffable in there. But the open edges start on page 75. And they're broken out into mental edges, physical edges, social edges, style edges, which come along to basically like combat, things along those lines. Was anyone interested in faith or psychic powers?
I was having a quick look at Faith, but there's nothing jumping out at me. I did think it would be interesting, though.
Yeah, the religions in Dystopia Rising are all very interesting because they're belief structures that are based on information from the time before the fall that's been filtered through several generations of misunderstanding.
So, like, never mind, I'm not gonna get political. The difference in this is what?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Difference is that in Dystopia Rising, some of them are funnier. That's the principal difference.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here.
You said 3 in edges?
You get 4 in edges. You can spend up to 3 if you wanted to do faith or psionics. They are mutually exclusive. So if you, because faith, you need to be able to adhere to a creed, and all of the faith creeds are pretty rabidly anti-psychic. Because psionics are from the devil.
Yeah.
We're in this now.
I think I'm going to go back and look at the standard ones, and if nothing jumps out at me, I might dive further into Faith just to see what's there.
Sure. There are a couple of interesting religions. Just to give you a couple of like real brief overview of some of the beliefs, because you may run into some characters who believe along these things. The Church of Darwin, which believe that evolution is the highest ideal. So therefore they seek out the holy glow of radiation to attempt to further sort of press forth their evolution.
I'm the holy glow of radiation. What?
The tenets of the Church of Darwin are: the light is the way and the truth. Only exposure can help you evolve. Purity of flesh is to be scorned. Evolution comes from mutation. Seek out places marked by radiation. Only here can we advance. Oppose those who deny the light. Show them the way if you can. Some call our visions mad. They have not seen the truth. And Darwin knew we must evolve to survive. Savannah taught us the path. Honor them with all you do. Savannah is kind of the origin figure of the Church of Darwin. There is the cult of the fallow hopes. Their theology is they believe that they were tasked with a mission from their God. Their purpose is to rebuild humanity and wipe out the scourge of the undead from the earth. Their tenets are: seek the damned where they dwell, wipe the scourge from the earth, follow your superior's commands to the letter. A dereliction of duty led us to this fallen world. Remain faithful. God is testing us. We must meet the challenge through strength of arms. Do not trust those who rely on the green glow. They call it radiation, but it is the light of hellfire. And a person, even one tainted by hellfire, may be redeemed if he finds the light. All are given a second chance. There is no third chance. And that, again, is the cult of the fallow hopes. There's the final knights. Their theology is that they believe they are in hell, and that those who deceive others into having some hope of divine influence in the world are not evil or wicked, but simply deluded. The final knights believe this is hell, we are damned. Power is the true role of the damned. Those who have none should take it. If they cannot, they do not deserve it. Thwart those who would promote the false truths of the divine. Uphold the laws of hell. And bring suffering wherever you can, and always take power. So they're not necessarily nice folks, the final knights.
Yikes.
And the light of Hedon. Their theology is observance of all sins, but in a general nonviolence towards those outside of the faith. They are tasked to oppose no one, but not to let people to stop them from enjoying life. Their tenets, the tenets of the hedonists, are: stop trying to plan. There is no tomorrow. There may not be a later today. Enjoy yourself while you can. There is no vice anymore. The gods' temperance have left us. Oppose no one, but do not let them prohibit you from enjoying what you can. Show others the pleasure of now. Offer them a drink and a bed. Each person who worries about the now will help you enjoy it, or who worries more about the now will help you enjoy it more. And the 7 sins are the guide to supreme enjoyment. Do not leave any out. So they're a fun bunch, the hedonists. And then you have the nuclear family. They believe that before the fall, there were white picket fences, there were perfect homes in what we call the suburbs, where families could settle down and live wholesome, healthy lives. A person named Father Ward preached out to the community and guided them in wholesome values. Their tenets of the nuclear family are: faith is family, keep your family close. Never argue with your parents, they know what's best for you. The family does not falter nor waver, the family endures no matter what. Love your siblings, even when they snitch to father, it's for your own good. When you make a mistake, admit it. If you don't, you only make matters worse. Always treat others with respect. The neighbors might be watching. And last but most certainly not least are the telling visionaries, who believe in a signal. A signal that carries truth from the world of old. Their tenets are: there is the Alpha and the Omega. The signal is the beginning and the end. Collect the lost relics of the telling visions, and always quest to find the signal. Destroy those who would impede the great signal. Do not allow others to witness your prayers without having them pay to view. So yeah, you basically don't use miracles unless somebody pays you. Every member must carry a piece of holy wood upon them as a sign of faith. So a relic from the old era of holy wood. Respect the merchants and heed the words of their sponsors, and follow the visions of the telling visions and learn from their enigmatic ways.
I would rather join anyone except the nuclear family. Sounds terrible, thanks. No, I think so. I've found quite a few in the regular stuff. So for me, I think I'm
Cool.
not going to go Faith World, but oh my gosh, I cannot wait until we encounter some of
Run
these
into
people.
some of these folks. Yeah. Excellent. So, what did you settle on for your edges?
I might do the Light of Hedon.
That sounds perfect for your character. I love it. Now, just because and also you don't necessarily need to take faith-based edges to follow one of the churches. You might just believe in the Light of Hedon. But you can also take faith-based edges if you choose to. Make sense?
Okay, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I think that's a purpose that I'm missing.
Excellent. I love it. And the Light of Hedon is detailed. If you want to look at them in greater detail, they're on page 160.
Okay.
So, CJ, what edges had you settled on?
There we go. Kind of waffling on the last one, but for sure, I've taken Light Sleeper, which is a 2 dot, and I've taken Acute Sense Hearing. I feel like if anyone's hypervigilant, it's probably this character.
That's fair.
I was looking at different other ones. I liked Fast Recovery, but it's a 2 dot, so I'll hold off on that. But yeah, so I just need a one more 1 dot, or to put another. Yeah, so I'm not there yet, but I'm almost there.
That's fine. Leko, how about you?
Oh yeah, we're in it now. So I upped my safe house to 3. It is
Nice.
my home office.
Nice.
For the delivery service, and so that was 2, and then I bought Fame 1 and Scavenger 1.
Scavenger comes in handy. If you would like to break down real quick for the class at home what those last 2 do, Scavenger and what was the other one?
So I got Fame 1.
Fame, right.
So Fame, your character is well known among a particular group of people. You can be famous for a personal accomplishment, a stroke of blind luck, perhaps for being a friend or lover of someone with more fame. 1 dot of fame means the character is well known within a small subculture or a small settlement, not connected to others. I was figuring the postal subculture probably is aware of the Green Gopher dispatch and delivery service.
I love it. Cool.
And that's green spelled gangrene, like Grene.
I like it.
It's an actual gopher, right? And the logo is a gopher, kind of like decrepit, with a green, like lime green line around him, carrying a gift box with a dismembered hand reaching out of it.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Fame 1, drawback, any attempt to find or identify me have +1 enhancement per dot in the edge, which is fine. I'm glowing anyway.
Right.
That's why we get nothing but, we have our glowing reviews guarantee, okay? And I also picked up, so Safe House 3, let's talk about Scavenger, right? Scavenger.
Yeah, Scavenger.
Scavenger, your character is an expert at locating useful resources, even from the most unlikely of places. Your character gains 1 enhancement to actions to find food, water, or scrap. And scrap has a capital S, so I'm guessing that's important.
Scrap is important. Yeah, it's used for crafting rolls and for repair.
But the reason I picked it up is because it says, if the terrain is such that such an action would not be allowed, such as finding food in a radiation field or finding scrap in the desert, the character gains the ability to roll anyway.
Yeah. So you can find parcels that other couriers might have dropped, for example.
That's still attached. And the Safe House 3 is super handy. Where is that? That's under. Is it a social edge?
Safe House is
Page 79.
yes.
There it is. Safe House 3, a medium location with enough space to sleep 6, food for all for a month, and the amenities listed above, plus a crafting space that grants enhancement equal to dots in this edge to crafting and repair actions. So the other amenities are a radio.
Handy, super handy.
Multiple ammo and weapons caches. So the Green Gopher's going places, okay?
Yes,
We are not just delivering hope. Well, we are not delivering package, we're delivering hope. Okay.
Yeah, you have the bunker from Supernatural. Um, I dig it. Cool. Excellent. And so, Haley, did you settle on your edges?
Yeah, I did Master of Disguise. I got 3 points. Half-Life, it came with 2 points. Entertainer, I bumped up to 3 points.
Nice.
Time Sense, 1. Photogenic Memory, 1. And Swift, I bumped up to 2.
Rock and roll.
I'll look into the Light of Hedon. You get like...
Oh, Swift is just 1. Swift doesn't go up, so you still have 1 point to spend there. So how many points does that leave you with out of the 4? Just the 1?
I'll just put it in Entertainer, I guess.
Entertainer goes up to 3. So you've already got it maxed out.
Oh, okay.
So you got 1 point to spend kind of among any of the other ones. If you wanted to look at Faithful, let's see here.
I picked up Hardy for my last dot.
That is handy. That helps.
Probably been exposed to a lot of things.
That helps resist like ongoing. Okay, so Faithful, you would actually need to be part of that path. So you might want to look at Fame. That could be handy for the Entertainer.
Okay, so I'll put it in Fame.
Yeah, rock and roll.
That's what matters.
It is important. All right, now that that's all done, you should have your gear, which was laid out by your roll paths. So if you look, once again, the gear is all pretty straightforward, but for weapons and armor specifically,
So since I have a radio, I could do radio commercials, can't I?
you could. Pages 141 and 142 are going to be where you'll get all of your weapon and armor tags and information there. And I just usually will record them like on the lines for weapons and armor. I'll record the name and then the tags behind it. You might want to put the page number reference if you want to look it up, but the gear isn't so much described beyond its tags, really. Everything is kind of what it sounds like. If you have any questions about any of the gear, you can certainly ask. But it is pretty much what it sounds like. Obviously, Turlet Hooch is not as good as Quality Hooch, for example. So there you have it. Let's see, 2 seconds here. Just want to make sure we've got everything covered. So your gear is sorted out. Once you've got the gear from your paths, you can also choose 5 additional pieces of gear not listed within your character's roll path. None of these items can be higher than tier 3 unless you have an edge that tells you otherwise. Ideally, you should have at least 1 weapon and 1 piece of armor. And the gear starts on page 141.
So 3 pieces?
You get 5 pieces beyond what's listed in your path. And also, real quick, let's knock out your health and stress conditions before we forget. Each character starts with a maimed, an injured, and a bruised. If you have stamina 3, you gain an additional injured condition. And if you have stamina 5, you gain an additional bruised condition. Now, this will pose a problem for you because you have more conditions than your sheet permits for. So just make a note of that if you would.
I was like, okay, sure.
And then you also, there's another thing that's added in Dystopia Rising that's not present in other story path games, which is your stress conditions.
I'm so excited for this. Should I be?
Every character has 3 levels of stress: troubled, distraught, and haunted. The only way to get more than that is to have psionic or faithful edges. So That's just what you get. Once your gear is sorted out, if you have any questions about gear, feel free to ask.
Where did you say it was? I'm sorry.
Gear is on page 141. So you have weapons that range from a shiv, scrap knuckles, which are, what they sound like. It's like brass knuckles, but made out of like rusty pieces of metal. All the way up to like sawed-off shotguns, hunting rifles. You can't take anything that's higher than tier 3 at character creation. So no flamethrowers out the gate. I apologize.
No nukes.
No nukes.
RPGs.
No RPGs. But another thing to keep in mind is, when you get down into page 143, medical supplies, food and hooch, and tech and assorted gear. So, for example, the medic might want to grab some bandages, some disinfectant, some Rad Be Gone, which is anti-radiation medication.
And you said that we can take, sorry, how much again? 5?
5 pieces of gear, nothing higher than tier 3.
Yep.
Haley, everything makes sense with health levels and stress conditions?
So I'm stamina 4, so I get 2 bruised and 2 injured.
So you have 2 injured, 1 bruised.
Oh, okay.
You don't get the second bruised condition unless you have stamina 5.
Yeah.
And then the last thing to sort out when that's all said and done is going to be your connections. There's some sample connections listed under each of your paths. When you choose a connection, you can choose either a contact, which is a single person that you have a relationship with. They have some expertise, and they can offer advice, offer training, do favors, things like that. You get 1 contact connection from each your strain and your society path. And then your access connection comes from your society path. Make sense? So when you're thinking about what type of access connections are equipment or specialized space that you have that's related to that path. So when you're thinking about that connection, you'll want to think about what your society path gives you. So, for example, Haley, yours might be like a particular bar that you have access to. You can get you can get free booze, you can get access to a back room, things like that. Whereas for Leco, your access connection might be like to a particular garage or like a depot, access to maybe even like one of the postal services depots, something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking like a merchant organization, somebody who contracts me out.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas
do I need to pick who they are? Like, so I just put merchant organization, like
right, for the access connection, yes, and then for the contact connections, those are specific people. So you can come up with like a name, and then your contacts will also have tags.
and that's for strain and roll both get people.
Yeah, strain and society both get people.
Oh, okay.
Roll doesn't get you any connections.
Okay. But I do have a mentor as well.
Right, and so the way that works is normally like if you're using a contact connection or an access connection, you need to roll your path and an attribute.
Okay.
Your mentor, you can use as a path connection without having to roll.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Make sense?
Yes. Yes.
I believe you can do that a number of times per session equal to your mentor rating.
So we get one location, one contact, and then
One location, two contacts.
2 contacts.
Yep. And your contacts, you'll want to have tags on them in addition to a name. And those tags are listed on page 61. Those are your sort of suggested tags.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. My
Yeah.
location is the restaurant on Route 32. You know how you like drive down a highway and it just says restaurant?
Right. I love it.
My location.
Excellent. The side of the road greasy spoon. That'll come in handy. It's a good place to stop and get food. You can probably get a lot of rumors, and it's the kind of place where a lot of people would stop.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm on a Supernatural kick today, but it's kind of like the Roadhouse from Supernatural.
Listen, I'm living my best life. I mean, like, it's been a minute, but
Well, you know, when something is on the air for 15 years, it eventually makes its way into the cultural lexicon.
we can't have Carry On Wayward Son, but maybe we'll just be like knock off and our theme is The Wall.
Yeah, I've chosen my merchant organization contact. The tag is influential. Their name is Go Get 'Em Done. They are a post office regional manager.
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
What page was that again? Contacts?
Page 61.
Got it. Okay. Hmm.
And as we are sort of working on these finishing touches, I also do want to just have a brief discussion about safety tools. Generally speaking, we lean on the X card. If you need to X out of anything, you can feel free to say X. You can make an X with your hands. You can type X in the Zoom chat. Full disclosure, that is the last place I will see it. But those are all options for you. I also like to do yes goes and no goes. Yes goes are things you want to see. No goes are things you don't. Let's start it off with Lecco. Do you have any yes goes or no goes that you would like to add to the party?
Yes goes. Yes goes first, please. Dystopia Rising, right? We're zombies. There's all sorts. Okay. I need can I just request like gore level 11 to 12?
So splatterpunk.
Spell splatter, punk, splatter.
Does anyone have any objection to splatterpunk splatter as being a yes go? Beautiful. Excellent.
My big no-go is no domesticated animal violence if we can. Unless, guard dogs are fine. But yeah, no, nobody's throwing a cat out the window.
No harm to domesticated animals. Except
the other,
guard dogs.
if I'm going to yes go, it would be I want to see some character development. I want to see some through lines here. I want to see some people. I want to see people learn about themselves and the world.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I love it. Those are perfect.
Covered in gore.
Covered in gore. I am happy to oblige, as we all know I am a gore hound. CJ, yes goes and no goes.
I feel like this is very much the right setting for me to say a yes go is emotional vulnerability.
Okay.
I would love to see like not just character development to, piggyback on Lecco, but like interpersonal character development, not necessarily trusting each other at first and arguments and stuff, totally fine, but like actual investment in what's happening because it's every day is life or death. Other yes goes. Disease. Illness and disease. It's the right setting for it.
All right, beautiful. I can certainly do that. And are we talking like graphic depictions of the effects of same?
I'm good with that one. I'm good either way.
Okay.
So, yeah, I am in the mindset of zombie apocalypse for this. So, I don't really have any no-goes. I don't love for this sort of setting, I don't have a lot of no-goes just because it is a very different. But I don't love domestic and animal violence either, and so I'll just piggyback on that and call it a day.
Sounds like a plan. We will always save the cat. You have my word. How about you, Haley? Any yes goes no goes that you would like to add to the pool to the party?
Just bring on the trauma, I suppose. I'm good with
Excellent.
those things.
I love it that we're both like wreck me.
I will do my best.
Okay.
And then we can grow out of it. You see, we can evolve past it, and then we get wrecked again.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Which brings us all together because the best way to grow bonds is mutual trauma.
Right. Trauma bonds. Yeah, those are always healthy. Those never end poorly. And obviously, of course, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but I always mention my personal no-go is SA. It'll never be in my games. No reason for it to be there. So I think we have a beautiful and comprehensive list. And
did you have any no's, Haley?
Not really.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in there before we got too far out.
I thought you had said
don't mutilate children, I guess.
All right, we will not mutilate children on camera.
Okay.
If that works.
I did pick my second contact.
What'd you get?
So for my strain, the tag is dangerous. Their name is Howler Monkey. They're a freedom fighter, revolutionary, anti-slaver.
I love it. Perfect. And yeah, just a quick setting note there. There was within relatively recent memory, there was a slavery-based economy in certain parts of the wastelands. There's been since an uprising, and most of that has been tamped down. But there are still pockets where that thing goes on. So if going and freeing some folks is on the agenda, on the to-do list, I can work it in. If it's something we'd rather just blow past, I'm happy to blow past it as well.
Well, I wanted to pick it up because for two reasons. One, I feel like it's kind of a part of the character's history, and two, if we decide we want to dip in there, I wanted it in.
You want it? No, totally fine. And having said that, I'm okay with having that revolutionary background and having that particular element not necessarily come onto camera too. So I'm fine either way. Is my point.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So any other contacts, connections? Did you get yours figured out, CJ?
I definitely did not because I was staring for maybe 2 minutes at the equipment going, what's a bolt pistol? So
it's a pistol that fires bolts.
Yeah, I Googled it. But yeah, I will develop those before our session one and run them by you.
Sure.
But it'll probably be for sure there's going to be someone in the man, I should know the name of my own community, Scarlet Cross or whatever.
Crimson Cross.
Crimson Cross, there we go.
Yeah.
There'll definitely be someone in the Crimson Cross will be one. And then I did have a quick question. The Wasteland connections that I get with Rover, does that count toward it or no?
So that's not a specific contact so much as it gives you an enhancement when you're trying to like negotiate for stuff.
Perfect. Okay, yeah.
So you're just kind of people who knows people. Path contacts are an extra level above. So like if you'd think of it like Wasteland connections are acquaintances who you're in good enough graces that they'll do you a favor or two. Mm-hmm. Whereas a path contact is like, Lando.
Close.
Like you know what I mean? It's like,
Lando. Yeah, for sure one of them is going to be some higher individual of the Crimson Cross that likes my character for whatever reason, worked with them or something like that. Other one I'm still thinking of, but that'll be one for sure. I got to figure out what tag I want to associate with it, but I'll brainstorm that.
Sure.
Over, I don't want to.
No
I don't
worries.
want to sit here and be like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll come back to you with
Regarding
it.
gear, I know there's stuff in the chart, but are we allowed to, can we make our own stuff using the tags and whatnot?
Yeah, as long as it. So if you look at, there's a very the crafting system in DRE is very sort of quick and dirty.
Yeah.
So as long as whatever you make falls within the
Yeah, you just like pick some tags. There's a
Yeah.
limit on how many you can have.
as long as it falls within tier 3 or lower, that's the starting gear requirement. The only characters off the top of my head that I think that can break that are diesel jocks can start with a vehicle that's not subject to tier limitations, but
Something like that. Yeah.
other than that, everybody is limited to tier 3 at the start. It doesn't mean you can't start whipping up stuff that's a higher tier shortly thereafter, especially if your character has access to, say, like a workshop. Right.
And has technology, yeah.
Right. Haley, are you still working on your contacts? Did you figure out kind of what you wanted to do with those, or you still need some? Is that going to be a later date situation?
I have a vague idea what I want. For my location, I already said it. It's restaurant.
Right. We got that. Yeah.
My
Absolutely.
contact is one of them is a dangerous stalker.
Okay.
that
So somebody who's a super fan of you.
yeah, but like
Okay.
in a creepy way.
Sure.
And then another contact would be an informant from the Light of Hedon.
Okay. Excellent. Cool.
And I figured out my aspirations finally.
What do you got?
Okay, so one short is to build a bond with another character.
Okay.
The other short is to find a new audience because my hometown thinks I'm ugly, I guess.
Sure. Okay.
And my long term would be convert someone of faith to the Light of Hedon.
Excellent. I love
I
it.
love that.
And I look forward to seeing how you attempt to do that in character. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, and I think that's enough to make us dangerous. If you all could at some point between now and next session, fire me off a copy of your character sheet so that I can have all those handy, beautiful names and whatnot at easy access. I would greatly appreciate it. Like I said before, we're going to be starting in a settlement known as the Pit. It sits where modern day Pittsburgh is. It is there's a thriving settlement right there that is right next door, like in the same sort of wreckage as a group of raiders. They're known as Dread Surgeons, who periodically will attack the settlement. They like to grab survivors, drag them off, and experiment on them medically. For the most part, the city guard keeps them at bay, but every once in a while somebody wanders off a little too close to the Dread Surgeon territory at night, and they're never heard from again. I think that pretty much covers it. So I am excited. I love the characters that we have put together here. I look forward to starting our adventures in the pit and turning into a lovely road movie. I have, like I said, I have a couple of core ideas in mind. I think that all these characters will work lovely for. And before we run off, let's have everyone once again tell us who you are, what you do, who you are playing, your pronouns, their pronouns, and anything you'd like to promote. I don't think I got any character names from anybody yet, so we will start that off with Lecco, please. Your pertinent details.
Hi, I'm multitasking. I am Lecca Rodriguez. I'm still a currently sleeveless personal trainer, waiting to provide you with a free consultation at teamleco.com and answer any and all questions you have about diet, exercise, or surviving the zombie apocalypse. Um,
I hope you get inundated with zombie apocalypse questions.
I am playing an as of yet unnamed character who has dreams and aspirations of building the first privately owned delivery franchise called the Green Gopher Delivery and Dispatch. Um, Here to deliver hope in a time of the zombie apocalypse, not just your parcels. And I will provide uh, commercials at a later date.
Beautiful. I look forward to it. You can feel free if you want to, do the prep and have some ads to read for each session. I would allow you to do so.
Thank you.
CJ, your pertinent details, please.
Hi everyone, I'm CJ Starry, they, them. You can find me everywhere on CJ Starry, including here on Twitch, as well as at Ink and Lyre, Lyre, and TTRP_theater. I am going to be playing Sawbones rover Hayden Horn, and their pronouns will also be they, them. Make it easy. And yeah, I'm super psyched. This is good.
You.
I'm sorry, I just slapped my keyboard.
Yeah, so excited you muted yourself.
Excited, and yeah, yep. That's it. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. And last but most certainly not least, Haley, your pertinence, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Haley, also known as Babe_Blade 666. Pronouns she, her. I'm playing some sort of mutant character. Haven't discovered the name yet, but it'll be a she, her as well. Yeah, I'm enjoying this new game, and I hope to come up with a really cool cosplay for our next session.
I look forward to seeing what you cook up. It's always a delight to see your cosplay, and definitely would recommend the audience head over to your Instagram, which is at the handle, as is floating, I believe, under your face. And definitely check that out because there's always good cosplays posted there. And I am Travis. My pronouns are he and they. I am not a cosplayer by any stretch of the imagination. Did an Arthur Dent cosplay once that I was pretty proud of. It was a robe and a towel and my iPad with the friendly lettering that said "Don't panic" on the screen. That's the closest I've ever come to cosplaying. But I do write games when I am not running them. Among the games I've written are a bunch of stuff for Scarred Lands, my favorite fantasy setting, and that, among several other OGL games, is currently on sale through our partners over at Indie Press Revolution. It's 50% off in traditional print materials for Scarred Lands. Stuff is up there. Legend lore, which I also had the privilege of working on, first edition Pugmire stuff, and some Changeling the Lost and Dark Eras for Chronicles of Darkness. Also want to let you all know that game night with Onyx Path is the last Friday of every month. That would be this Friday, and I am running Dystopia Rising Evolution. For that, there are a couple seats left in my Dystopia Rising Evolution game. So if you want to come play this very setting with me in a fun little story I like to call Stormwatch, that is going to be running this Friday. I think my game runs at 7 Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. It's whatever time is on that link that I just posted in the chat. There are seats available. Come check it out. And I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't remind you that the Kickstarter that is currently running is Realms of Pugmire. So it's our second edition of Pugmire, the beautiful fantasy / sci-fi game where you play uplifted dogs in a post-apocalyptic fantasy world. There are some science fiction elements, but not as far as the dogs are concerned. It's magic, and you can be good doggo in plastic plate mail armor. What more could you ask from a role-playing game? Go check that out over on Kickstarter. And if this is your first encounter with Dystopia Rising Evolution, it is available at your friendly local game store, but also in print-on-demand and PDF over at DriveThruRPG. I just threw that link in the chat. We will be back here this time next week for session 1 of our tale, which I will be calling Making Connections. And I will be back tomorrow with CJ and Leko for the series finale, I hope, of Story Path Showcase.
Can we drag it out? Can we drag it out more?
Trinity Continuum Adventure, which has been an adventure to say the least. We've
Chaos.
crashed a flying city and had a lot of Tommy guns going off, and wound up with a character who will not be available next week, but that's okay because their character is going to be in the hospital. So as Chaz unfortunately will be unable to join us, but if you have not yet checked out Trinity Continuum Adventure, it is currently available on BackerKit, and I will get that link shortly. Once again, I am foiled by my inability to type and talk at the same time. Good Lord. I need to just start practicing that. But here in the chat is the link for that. So if you want to play Pulp Adventure in the Trinity Continuum universe, go support that over on BackerKit. You can, I believe, get the PDF pretty much right away if you back it. And yeah, we will see you when we see you. If you've not yet done so, please like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until then, wash your hands, get your shots, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.